Hey guys, it's Jake here with eTrailer. Today we have a 2024 BMW X7 and we're going to be taking a look at, and I'm going to show you how to install the Stealth Hitch 2-inch hitch receiver. Now right off the bat, I want to show you the difference between Stealth Hitches and a lot of other hitches out there on the market, and what really makes it worth the money to invest in one of these hitches is that whenever you're not using your receiver tube, this looks like it sticks out really far, and that's because it does. When you're not using it, all you do is reach up behind your bumper, pull a knob, this slides out, and your vehicle looks like it's from the factory. And then whenever you're ready to use a bike rack or whatever accessory you're wanting to put into the receiver tube, cargo carriers are very popular with this vehicle because a lot of people like to use that third row, and you do not get a whole lot of space once you have that third row up. So you put a cargo carrier back here and allows you to have a lot more space to bring that stuff with you. Whenever you're ready to use those accessories, you take your hitch receiver tube. It'll take some getting used to find the opening to slide this up in. Once you get it lined up, clicks into place. Make sure that that handle turned all the way. Reach on to the other side and push the lock. Now some people get a little bit leery because that's a mechanical part that you have to clip up into place, but you can be rest assured that it is safe to haul your accessories on this. The way that you will know for a fact that it is locked into place properly, that you've got it clicked all the way up, is that the lock cylinder will not push all the way in if it is not latched properly. If you can push that lock cylinder all the way in and it clicks, then you're good to go and put your accessory in and head down the road. Now, a question we get a lot of times when it comes to putting a hitch on a vehicle that has the hands-free, the rear door assist, is it going to work with a hitch installed? And the answer is yes. This particular one does work. The hitch itself is not in the way. Now, I personally do not own this vehicle, so I don't know where the sweet spot is to begin with. But if you know where the sweet spot is on yours, it might be in the same spot, but it might be in a little bit of a different spot. You just kind of have to play with it a little bit and find out where that spot is and get that door to open up. Now some measurements so you know what you're getting. The hitch pin hole is going to be a 5/8 inch hitch pin. The hitch pin and clip do not come with this hitch, so you'll have to pick one up off the website. If you get a new accessory, chances are it's probably going to come with one. From the ground to the top inside of the receiver tube, it's going to be about 15.5 inches. That should be more than high enough off the ground. You don't have to worry about a cargo carrier or a bike rack dragging. Just be careful going in and out of those steep inclines. As far as the center of the hitch pin hole to the outermost part of our bumper, it's pretty well even with this. This sticks out quite a bit further out past the vehicle than a normal hitch receiver will, but that's because it's removable. So they try to make it as easy as possible to get it in place, and so that most accessories will work with this. Because it's about even with it, you should have no problem folding bike racks and cargo carriers up to the back of your vehicle. And lastly, this is going to have a max tongue weight capacity of 600 pounds. I do want to preface that this is very, very important that you only use this for accessories like bike racks or cargo carriers. You cannot put a ball mount in this. They have a ball mount available that you can purchase, and you can get the wiring kit if you want to be able to tow with your X7. You cannot put a ball mount in this because there's too many points of friction, like the ball mount itself inside of here, the trailer on top of the ball, and then this particular receiver tube up inside of the Stealth Hitch. Now, as far as the installation goes, this install really isn't too terrible. It looks like a lot when we're doing it, but no one part of it is super hard. If you don't feel like doing this install yourself, even after watching the rest of this video, doing this install yourself, feel free to check out our dealer locator to be able to find a dealer near you that can do this install for you. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the install. To begin our installation, we're going to need to remove the panels out of the back of our car. By doing this, you pull down on this trigger, rotate this out. We're going to set these off to the side. There will be one on the passenger side and one on the driver's side. Up in the passenger side cavity, we've got a 10mm nut. You follow the extension back that I've got on there, we're going to have to take that out. In the passenger cavity, in this little opening right here, we're going to have a 12mm nut that we'll have to remove. That is holding our taillight in place on the outside. Now, once you feel that it's loose, be very careful to not lose that nut. I like to hold it in place and then get my hand back there. They do have these little retention caps on them, which help you to line up the nut when you go to put it back on, but just keep good track of these. Now we're going to repeat that same process on the driver's side. Now we'll grab a plastic trim panel tool, we'll slide it behind this plastic cover here, and if you pry straight out, it should pop loose. We're going to set this off to the side. Now we're going to take a T30 Torx bit and get these two bolts removed. Once you get it started, it'll be loose enough to where you should be able to just loosen it with your hand. Now I'll grab an 8mm socket and we're going to remove this screw on both sides of the vehicle. Now we're going to take our light. If you grab it here, we're going to rotate the front portion of the light out to get that stud to come out of the hole, and then the whole light will come out. We're going to take this little plug here. There's a red tab on top. We're going to pop that little red tab and then push this black tab, pull that plug out. Now we're going to take this trim. What you see here is I've taped off this seam and then this seam here. Our fascia is going to have to come off, and that's kind of why we're taking this trim here off, is to get to the bolts that are behind there. If you reach on this edge, grab this piece of trim, be able to pull it out. There's going to be some fasteners in here that we have to get to pop loose. And once you get the first one, typically the other ones follow pretty easily after. Sometimes it may take a trim panel tool. If you can look in here, pop that loose, and then just work it up. Pop the next one loose. There you go. Once you get it popped out to there, right off the bat, we're going to take some more tape. We're going to wrap it around these so that they do not scratch anything or accidentally get hooked back into their little slots. And then behind here, you'll see we've got an 8mm screw here and right here that we have to remove. Next, we're going to take a trim panel tool, and on the reflectors, on the innermost side of it, we're going to have to start by popping it out from that side. I put a little piece of painter's tape here to help prevent the trim panel tool from scratching the paint. So we're going to slide this behind as far as we can go back, and then just pry out. Go very slowly, and it should pop out right there, and the rest of it comes out pretty easily. And in each of these openings, after you take the reflectors out, there's going to be an 8mm screw that we'll have to remove. And then underneath our vehicle, we're going to have 24 fasteners, whether it be a 10mm or an 8mm. We've got to take this panel off the bottom and then loosen the lower fascia too. We'll just go through and loosen all these up. For our two 8mm screws, we'll have one here right by the exhaust. It looks like that plastic piece is ready to come off now. And then there's going to be another one on the other side. With all the fasteners removed, we're going to take these plastic pieces out of here and set them to the side. Now with a person on each side, what you want to do is you want to start popping these panels out. These are popping out pretty easily. Another thing you can do to help you is take a rag and stick it in this piece back here. It'll help hold it away from where you're pulling out. Just pop this out slowly, doing one fastener at a time. It might help you to use a trim panel tool. It looks like Bruce just used one on that side. We'll prop each one of these out so that we don't break them. Get those going, and then we'll slide it back in here too. And you just want to work the fascia rearward towards the vehicle. Once you get these little edges pulled out, you just want to grab the corner, pull straight back. We're going to come underneath our bumper here, and there's little tabs that we can push to release the bumper one little clip at a time. They tell you to use an Allen key. You really just need something that's bent to be able to do it. There we go. And those tabs are literally holding the entire bumper at that point. So then we're going to look for wiring. Looks like it's over on Bruce's side. We're going to get that unplugged. And on that plug, you just want to grab both ends of the clips and it'll pop right out. Then we're going to set this in a safe place. Now with our fascia off, we can take a flathead screwdriver and we're going to pop the center of this push pin fastener out. There's another one right here. We're going to do the same thing to the other side of the vehicle. And what these are holding on is these plastic guards so that we can get more access to the bumper beam hardware right there. So we've got those two plastic fasteners off, and then if we pull our tailgate down flat, you'll see that there's going to be a 10mm head bolt or nut that we'll have to remove. Now we'll take this plastic piece, we're going to pull back on it. What we might have to do is open our tailgate. We're going to push it back up partially so where we can get this pop loose and not have to worry about hitting the paint on there. And then we'll rotate it out and set it aside. Grab a 13mm socket. There's going to be a bolt holding the this exhaust hanger on this side and one on the other side. Typically we would say to use a strap or something to hold this exhaust, but there's a metal bracket that goes straight across the exhaust that is just about an inch below it, so that can hold it for you. And then on our passenger side, on the underside of our bumper beam, we'll have this push pin fastener that is holding our wiring to the bottom of it. Just pop that out and we can start working on getting these nuts off of our bumper beam. We've got 5 more of these push pin fasteners holding our sensor bracket on. We're going to pop the centers out and then pop the bases out. Once you get those removed, all I'm going to do is just let this hang down. You guys can set it on the ground if you're closer to it, and then we'll take care of that bumper beam. Using an 18mm socket, we're going to remove the 8 nuts that are holding on our bumper beam. On this vehicle, we're also going to have the spacer beam in here that we'll have to take off and get rid of it. Now with an extra set of hands, we've got Cody helping us out here. We're just going to pivot his side in first because that's where the wiring's at. Then we're going to line this up with the studs and then get one nut in place. In your kit, you're going to get 2 of these brackets that look like this. They are side specific. You'll want this L shape to be facing backwards and over to the outside of the vehicle. We'll slide that over. This is going to be our new bracket that we're going to attach our exhaust to. You'll get new hardware to run up through this hole too to be able to lift that back up in place. Now we're going to take one of the bolts and a washer that comes in our kit, run it up through the bottom of this bracket. We're going to have to muscle this into place and then put the nut on top here. Now we'll come back with a torque wrench and torque all of our hardware to the specifications in the instructions. Now we're going to take our block, we're going to lift it up into place, slide our bolts in from the right side if you're standing at the back of your vehicle, and then take the nuts and put them on the left side. And we'll grab a torque wrench and torque these 2 nuts to the specifications in the instructions. Then we'll grab our sensor bracket, use the push pin fasteners that we're holding it in place, and put it back up. Now what we need to do is, once we got everything put into place, we just need to put our fascia components back on the way that we took them off. The only thing that we're going to have to trim is going to be that lower center plastic piece, so we'll catch back up with you when we get to that point. Now here's that center panel we were talking about that we're going to have to trim. BMW's got this marked out like this already, with this kind of drawn line that just has these little connectors holding it in place. The instructions are going to tell you to cut this out and then go over top of this and cut more and basically make this a uniform shape. I'm going to try to cut this just like this first, cut out what they say, and then come back, hold it up, see if it needs to be trimmed out more here, because we don't want to cut any more than we have to. We'll take a we're just taking a multi-tool and zipping these little connectors off. So after holding it up here, this side you're gonna have to be able to reach your hand up here to twist this knob. But on this side, we're just gonna have to reach up to be able to pull this cap off and unlock this. And I think that's more than enough space to be able to do that. So I'm gonna leave it just like this, maybe get this cleaned up and get all these panels back up. Last thing we need to do is take our hitch receiver tube and make sure that it clicks up into place. Just like that. Well guys, hopefully this video helped you decide whether or not the Stealth Hitch is right for you in your 2024 BMW X7.